Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. And today I have a wonderful special guest, Geoff Anderson. Now, he loves helping his clients tell their stories through video. And since 1993, he has owned and operated Sonic Site, which is a video production agency in Sydney, Australia. So needless to say, it was interesting trying to find a time in the day that we could both do this. So I'm so excited to have you on, Geoff.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you doing it for organising during a time when I was awake. I'm usually a lot more articulate when I'm awake. We'll see how we go this morning or the evening, your time.
Now, you're also the author of two books, Shoot Me Now and Watch Me Now. And I know today that we're going to be talking about leveraging video in your business. So why don't you take a moment or two, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your story and how you kind of came to this.
Sure. Thanks, Kim. Look, I started Sonic Site back in 1993, as you said, 27 and a half years ago. So we were a bit of early adopters for video back then. But my business partner had a background in television. So he said, look, we should make videos. And we were also doing events in those early days. And I didn't have any experience in that field. I actually just went along and said, sure, I'll see how I can help. So I was writing things and being clever and creative. And that seemed to work. And I also had a bit of a background in banking, so I was able to look after the finances and sort of understand money a little bit, which he was hopeless at. So it was a bit of a good fit that way.
Always have have someone in the company who can do that.
Well, I'd actually previously had been working as a commercial loans officer in a bank and learned, and we were building the business up part-time while that was happening. And I was realizing there's a lot of good stuff here I need to hold on to, because having a business is all about, making it viable, making sure the numbers add up and that the money comes in, and that, profit matters more than turnover. So it was just being aware of all those things as we went along the way. But so over the years, I was getting more and more hands-on in the video production side of things. And it took me a while to realize that I actually knew what I was doing. I was sort of always felt like I was a bit of a fraud because I'd never done the university degree in film and television like he had. And I was just bumbling along. But after about 10 years ago or so, I realized, I'm actually probably, I sort of was dealing with the fact, well, who am I to be, saying I'm a producer? I didn't go to university, but then I thought, well, actually I could probably teach this stuff at university. So maybe I need to kind of own it, maybe step into that space and say, actually, I do know what I'm doing. So I'd been running my business about 20 years before I wrote my first book, Shoot Me Now, Making Videos to Boost Your Business. And that was at a time where people were just starting to wake up. The internet was starting to, get a bit more momentum. Broadband was getting faster and video was becoming more prolific. And people were starting to wake up to the need and the power of video. So it was good timing in that regard, because that book was all about how to make videos. So I put 20 years of experience into all the things you need to know to make your videos look good and how to get that right. And it was fascinating because I have a great story about, if you want to talk about, author authority, where a chap in a government agency got a copy of this book. And he rang me up and he said, listen, I've got a copy of your book. I've got to be honest, I haven't read it, but we need to get a video made. And can you come in and have a chat? We've got a budget of $25,000. Is that of interest to you? And I'm thinking, yeah, that's okay. Yeah, I'm happy to talk to you about that. So I go in and meet with this guy, and the meeting goes well, and he's quite happy to meet the author, and we're talking about this, and he says, look, because of the budget, we've got to get 3 quotes. And I said, okay, fair enough. And then I asked what I thought was a really good question. I said, well, what are you looking for in a winning proposal? What do I need to convince you about? And he said, well, I know you can do it because you're published. Which was very, very nice. But I was thinking, but you haven't even read my book. It's like, yeah. So it wasn't so much what I wrote in the book. It was simply the fact that I wrote the book and we got that job and it went very well. But yeah, that to me was a real obvious example of how powerful books can be in terms of leveraging your business. Because I was and writing the book, I don't know if we're going to get into that a bit later, but if you want to understand how I got the book written, was through a program I did, this Key Person of Influence program. And part of that program was actually writing a book. And I had a wonderful man, Andrew Griffiths, who has written about 14 books and business books as our mentor in writing that program. And he's mentored about 600 authors now to write their first book.
Nice.
Many of us have written more than one book now. But he's an amazingly generous man with his knowledge. He's amazingly clear with the frameworks that he has to put together for that. So we had, so I just followed his process, and it all sort of fell into place for that. So along the way, I think part of the challenge for me was to recognize that actually I did have a lot of value. I did have a lot of expertise that was useful and valuable and worth sharing. And I think it's easy to sort of, feel like a bit of an imposter. Who am I to write this, or who am I to put my name on this? When there's, other people who have done other things. But when you realize that, only you have done the journey that you've done. Only you have seen and learnt the things that you've learnt. No one else has done that journey. So you have a unique perspective on things that can be useful and valuable to share to people. So, that was part of the coaching I had along the way to recognize that, it's okay. There is value I have there. I showed it to a friend of mine who is a cameraman. He films for Mythbusters. So
Nice.
He goes over to San Francisco and has a great time filming all this amazing stuff. And I look to him and I think, this guy's an awesome, cameraman. He's brilliant. He does really cool stuff and he really knows his stuff. And I gave him a copy of my book, a little bit embarrassed because I thought, well, who am I to, give this to this chap? And he read it and he said, mate, this is awesome. There's so much good stuff in here. And I'm thinking, but don't you know all this? And he goes, well, no, because I'm a cameraman and you're talking about a whole range of marketing and production aspects and all the rest of it that, I don't have to deal with. And I thought, wow. Okay. And that reminded me that, actually there are people who have got their own area of expertise, but no one's got your complete area of expertise that you've traveled. So, that was useful insight for me along the way.
Yeah, like I think.
What was the question again?
I think you brought up a couple of really good points. There's a perception out there that when you're an author, you're a credible expert above somebody who's not an author. And it is a perception because I've known some people who have written some pretty horrible books who have gotten some really amazing results because people never read the book. They just promoted the fact that they have the book, right? That they're the author. And so...
Yeah, well, your IQ goes up 50 points once you've written a book, apparently. I'm waiting for it to happen to me.
I'm probably the smartest person on the face of the earth. I've written about 150 books between myself and my clients.
There you go. Very good, very good.
But I think something that's important, and you kind of hinted at it. See, you were very self-taught, and so was I. I finished high school. I have a good high school degree. I did well in English, but I never went to college or university and took English past that. Everything I've learned, I've taught myself. And like you, I felt that same way sometimes. I almost felt like a fraud because, I don't have an English degree. Who am I to write books, right? But
yeah.
I think the important thing to note is you don't have to have a university degree to write books. And
well, you have life, you have life university. You have all those experiences you've done, and that can be incredibly valuable and insightful and helpful for people.
Well, and here's the thing: even people like, I don't know how true this is, okay? Because they say that most statistics are made up on the spot, but
87% are made up on the spot, apparently, Kim.
But I was reading a report and I was very surprised by this report. And what they did is they took a poll of people who were English graduates who had majored in like literature and book writing. And there was maybe 1% of them that had written a book who were authors.
Right.
And I thought, and when I read this, I had already written probably about 50 books, and I'm thinking, okay, it really blew my mind that all these people who had taken these English degrees, and only 1% of them ever wrote a book.
Well, I know when I was doing my coaching for my mentoring, well, I was mentored to writing my book. Andrew made it very clear that again, a statistic, 95% approximately, write a book but never publish it. So they get to that point where they've kind of finished the manuscript, but they don't take that next step to actually get it out in the domain, because whether it's they're afraid of, what are people going to think? Will they like it? Will they not like it? And, I was listening to one of your other podcasts where, not everyone's going to like it. That's okay. Some people won't like what you've written, but that's not who you're writing it to. You're writing to the ones who are going to value it and going to appreciate it. Yeah. So, put it out there and, see where it lands.
Awesome. Well, I know you've come prepared today to give my audience some really great tips on leveraging video in your business. And I'm actually excited to hear it myself. So I'm going to let you loose to talk for a few minutes there.
Well, where do I start? So this is all what my second book is all about. Because as I say, I was seeing people, we'd make great videos for clients and we'd see other videos that were really great. But you'd look at YouTube and they had like 20 views. You think, you spent thousands of dollars on that video and nobody's seen it. That's tragic. So I wanted to, this actually originated because I'd written blogs about how to leverage your videos, 30 ways to share your videos, 30 ways to maximize your ROI with videos, 30 types of videos you can make. And so I had all this content together and I realized, what, this is starting to make sense that maybe I could sort of put this all together into a book. So the second book was actually a lot easier. And I think you've mentioned how, when you've got a lot of blog content out there, it's not that hard to create other books. Mm-hmm. So but a lot of it was just put together from a lot of content I already had. And then a lot of it was expanded upon to make it, and other ideas came along the way. Look, some of the things about getting your video to work for you. So it's not just about leveraging the video, it's actually making sure that the video is going to work when people watch it. Some of the things I talk to people about is making sure you start quickly with your videos. The time for a 10-second animated logo is as well and truly passed us by. You need to get to the point as quickly as possible and make it resonate with your audience. So if you're pitching your services, then I would encourage you to start with what's the problem you're solving for the people that are listening. So talk about them, talk about their problem and understand who your audience is. So very much the least you can talk about yourself, the more effective it's going to be. And that goes in all sorts of marketing, obviously. It's all about your customer and your audience, what's relevant for them. So cut to the chase as quickly as you can, as quickly as possible and get onto that. Make sure, if it's a promotional video, you're looking your best. You don't want to look like you just drag yourself out of bed. It can be, because people are filming, they're used to filming these Zoom calls and COVID-19 restriction stuff with no pants on. You need to step up a little bit when you're doing promotional videos. Another thing, if you're looking to do this, you've got to think beyond a video. It's the days of having a promotional video have passed us by. It's about an ongoing conversation using video as this very engaging medium. So it's important to think strategically about the different types of videos you can make, different ways you can make it. And off the top of my head, I'll talk about some of my popular videos that I think are really useful for people. Number one, I talk about, it's not a testimonial video, but a case study video. And it's a slight difference. The difference with a case study video, it's a story from your customer's perspective. So it's their journey that they've gone on and how they've come into a better place because of your product or service. So rather than just saying, oh, look, it's great to work with Sonic Site, they're really nice people, they do a great job. That's kind of like, yeah. But we do a lot of work with private schools, and we had one school who needed to get more people to turn up to their enrollment day, to their open day thing. And so they came to us and said, look, we need to, so what you do is you talk people through it for these case studies, you talk them through a four-step scenario. What was the problem? What was the need that they had? What was the solution or product that was provided? How did that transform the organization as a result? And how are they feeling now as a result? So a case study might be, we needed to get more people to attend our open day, so we wanted to create a video. Sonic Site came up with this idea to customize to this 190 group of families a personalized video for each daughter that was coming. So it all started off with their first names. As a result of that, we got a 20% increase in enrollments, in attendance, and as a result of that, we got a 12% increase in enrollments, which equated to a 200 times return on investment. So we're feeling like we've really taken the right step and we're heading the right direction. So there you've got a story, and it demonstrates the power of the service and the product that was provided. And it's much more useful and valuable than just saying, oh, look, they did a really good job. They had some creative ideas. It's like, well, that's kind of like, yeah. But when you can give something a lot more tangible, that's really good. In terms of getting your videos out to the marketplace, some of the things you can do is share it and share it and share it. So when you're posting it on social media, make sure you upload it as an MP4 file. So not just as the link to YouTube or the link to Vimeo, because that takes people off that social media platform, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram or whatever. And so the platforms don't promote it as actively. But if you upload the MP4 file, it keeps them on that platform. It'll get more engagement and it's easier to share. So definitely do that. Think about putting it in your email signature. So just have a link at the bottom of your email. So every time you send an email out, there's a link to a video that people can click on to find out more about who you are or whatever it is you're talking about. I'm jumping all over the place here a little bit because there's a book worth of content to talk about here. But one of the other things, as far as that I'm really a big fan of, is providing content which is helpful and shareable. So it's not so much about you, but it's about providing value that you provide to your customers and putting it in video content. Now, people worry about giving away this, and same thing as when you write it in a book. Oh, I'm giving away all my expertise. But what you're doing there is you're building trust, you're building credibility, and you're building rapport with people. So on my front page of my website, I don't have a promo video about Sonic Side. I have a video about 5 mistakes you can make with videos. And so it unpacks some of the things you need to be aware of when you're making video content. So when people watch that, it does a couple of things. It educates them on things they need to be aware of. It also educates them about the things that they may have not even thought about. So they may think, oh yeah, I just need a video. It's easy. I'll just do it myself. And then they look at that video, that 5 mistakes video, and they go, oh yeah, there are all those things. I didn't even consider that, but that makes a lot of sense. So it makes them realize that you're providing value, and it's giving them value. And it's also, it also is a great thing because it can weed out the tire kickers. So if you've got people who want to do it themselves and aren't prepared to pay the hundreds or thousands of dollars that you charge, by putting that on there, they can say, great, okay, I've got it now, I'll go and do it myself. And it's like, good, I don't need you as a customer. You're the ones I want to filter out. So that's a really simple way to get people off your back, but also at the same time attract the quality clients that you want to have.
I'm going to stop you there for a second because I want to back up for just a moment. And you talk there. I think there's an important concept, and it's the same, like you said, it's the same whether it's a video, it's a book, any content that you're putting out there. Don't be afraid to give it all away. Like, don't be afraid to give out the good stuff. Like you said, there are some people that will, take it and run with it and do it. And it's a very small percentage though. Like, it's not a high percentage of people who are self-motivated, self-learning enough to be able to take something, go with it, deal with all the problems that come with not having a mentor or a coach or somebody else do it for you. I tend to be one of those people, and I'll just figure it out, right? But most people are not like that. So you can actually give away quite a bit of value in your videos, and people are still going to hire you. People are still going to want to take your courses. People are still going to want coaching and mentoring and all of those things, because I find, I don't know. I find most entrepreneurs want to know how to do it, but they don't necessarily want to do it themselves, but they want to know that you know how to do it.
Yeah, well, and that's what I found, certainly when I wrote Shoot Me Now, was that people read that because 30,000 words of 20 years of experience about these are all the things you need to think about when you're going to make a video. These are all the things you've got to be on top of. These are all the things you've got to be aware of, and you've got to be able to manage it. And when people read that, they went, okay, there's a lot here I need to know. Can you just do it for me? And it's like, so what you're doing is you're basically laying it out on the table and say, right, if you want to make a video yourself, no problem. Just make sure you're on top of all of these things. And they go, oh, it's too hard. But you obviously understand what's involved, so why don't I just get you to do it for me? So it was deliberately done that way as well, and that was, and it's worked well. People get it, they go, okay, yep, you're the expert, let's just get you in.
So let's go back to a couple of the things that you were talking about there. So you said at first, don't have that little intro section. So like that 10-second logo, whatever is, and I understand why, but does it not make you seem less professional if you don't have something like that?
You can do it professionally. You can have your name come up on screen with the logo at that time, but people just want to get into the content these days. So and then you can have all your branding stuff at the end of the video as well. You can put a call to action in the middle of the video if you want to, so they don't have to wait till the end. But yeah, no, I don't think it's about, and like Facebook now, if you've got a big graphic at the start, they'll if you're doing an ad, they'll kick that back to you and say, no, that's not going to work. Send us one with where it just gets into it straight away. So yeah, you want to. It's not about it. It doesn't look unprofessional to just get straight into it. We are seeing so much video content these days which doesn't have that sort of stuff on it. It's not missed. The other important thing about when you've got videos online is having captions on the videos for your social media feeds, because 85% of videos are watched mute. That is a researched stat, that one.
And I do it myself, so.
Yeah, and that's easy to do as well. You can go to a service called rev.com, R-E-V, and for $1 or $1.25 a minute, they'll create caption files for your videos, and you can just download those. You can just review. They're very accurate. You can tweak them before you download them. But that's a really, for me, that's the best spend of $1 out there. And then that just uploads with your videos. So it'll be, people can watch the captions as they watch the videos.
Now, what software would you recommend? Because there's so many choices out there. So like, let's say, you're more beginning in videos, you want a bit of functionality, but you're not a techie person. So what would you recommend?
It depends what platform you're on. If you're on a Mac, I'd recommend iMovie, because it comes pre-installed and it's pretty good. And that's certainly a good way to, cut your teeth on it and get up and running. Then if you want to then go more with it, then you might upgrade to Final Cut Pro, which is the same sort of environment as iMovie, so it's easy to transition onto it. If you're on a PC, then and on a Mac, you can use the Adobe suite. So Adobe's got its flagship editing program is Premiere Pro, and that's certainly one. If you are looking to get into this a lot, you might want to look at that. It's also got another one called Adobe Rush, which is one that'll work on your phone or your tablet or your PC. And so you can move your content between the different things. I guess it all works in the cloud and you can access it from there. So that's another useful one. And that means you can edit your phone videos on your phone and upload them straight from there. So that's certainly another way to get up and running.
Cool. Just couple of the questions I was thinking of. So in terms of leveraging your videos, how long should a video be on social media? Like, where are you finding that sweet spot right now?
Look, ideally around about 60 seconds is good. According to Facebook, that's the sweet spot. 60 to 90 seconds gets the best engagement. It depends on the content and what you're doing. If it's a promotional video, the shorter, sharper, the better. Training content can be longer. So yeah, but if Facebook says, put about 60 to 80 words description around the video. If you can make it about how-to videos on cooking and it involves pets, then you're great. So if you're cooking a meal for your dog, that's really good. So they've got different parameters. They did some surveys with different an algorithm. They ran over like 100 million videos, and this is what they came back with as a result of all that research about what made the best type of video. And so it was, and humor obviously helps as well. If you can incorporate a bit of humor along the way, that will be engaging. But yeah, it's one of those things. You try it and test it. Be aware of your audience, though. Be aware it's not about you. It's about your, from a business perspective, it's about the value you're providing to your audience. And the more you can be focused on that, the more engagement you.
Cool. So let's shift gears here a little bit, and
Yep.
we've talked a little bit about your books, but talk to me about writing that first book. What was that like for you? Like, you talked a little bit about the program, but were there times
look,
when you found it really hard?
So I'll tell you, so the way this worked is I was on this program with 50 other people, and and the book writing was one part of it, but we built that up over several months where we did an initial breakdown of what the book was going to be about. So we had this briefing document, as if you were going to send it to a publisher, which spoke about who you were, what the central question was that the book was solving. So for me, it was about how to make great videos that will help boost your business. And so that's the fundamental aspect of the book. And then we did a mind map about everything that you could include in that. And then from there, I came up with a table of contents. And then you do a bit of research. And then we got organized, we got ready. And then all 50 of us started on a 30-day massive 30,000 word challenge. So we were all writing at the same time. And there's this accountability. We were checking in each day. How were you going? So you had to, try to hit 1,000 words a day over this 30-day challenge. So I would get up at 5:30 in the morning, and I'd have the kids at home, and I'd be typing at the computer. Shortly afterwards, I'd wake up and I'd keep typing. And by about 7 o'clock, I'd put out 1,500 words. And so I think having that mindset of commitment, having that accountability of other people doing it, also having this awesome framework that was laid out for us, where it was just step by step by step. So by the time we got to the writing, we were ready, we were organized, and we knew what we had to do. We'd had feedback from the mentor about how we were going with, the strategy and everything. And then we just got on with it. So that was actually, so by the end of the month, I had written about 26,000 words. And then over the next 2 months, I wrote another 6,000 and then edited it back to about 30,000 all up. So that was, that was a great outcome. The challenge then was, having written the manuscript, was then actually getting it published. And that probably took another 6 to 8 months of just fiddling around. And, I think that, as I was saying before, that hesitation about should I publish it or should I not? But so we'd been taking on this course of doing it all as a self-published process. So then I tracked down a designer for the cover through Freelancer, or no, Design Crowd it was, where I put the brief out there and got all these designs in, and one just jumped out at me and I said, great, I'll go with that. And then I had to find a typesetter. So I got a typesetter through Freelancer, and they were over in the UK. The designer was in the Maldives or somewhere. And so it was all, a worldwide collaboration. But yeah, it all just came together simply by following the steps, following the process. And then I used a printing company here in Australia, Ingram Spark, that were then able to print the books and also distribute it I did the Amazon distribution myself. Yes. So I cracked that, learned how to do all that. And so set up an author page and uploaded all of that. And the second time it was a little bit easier because I delegated all that to Ingram Spark, and they did the launch, the publishing it on the different platforms. So it was on our local stores, Booktopia and Dimmicks and on Amazon and all the others. So yeah, it wasn't that bad. I was very fortunate in having this clear strategy of processes and just following it. And just, I guess I trust the process. I trusted that it was okay. I had 20 years experience. I had some value here that was worth sharing. And I just unpacked it all. I just sort of thought, well, what do I do when I'm making a video? What does that look like? How do I go through that process? And yeah, I just let it all sort of fall into place. And I quite enjoy writing. So yeah, it was, I don't think my English teacher would have agreed with me, but turns out I'm an author. So there you go. And I must say, being an author, it's like having a degree at university. It's like, they can't take that title off you. Once you've published a book, you are an author.
That's right.
And
that can't change.
No, it's quite an honor.
That is amazing. Well, So I think one of the biggest points that you made is that you worked with other people and you had a system in place that you used. And I think that's important because most people go into this process and they don't have a system in place and they don't know what they're doing. And that's when you flounder and whatever. So and the temptation to quit. So, I highly recommend. I mean, I have courses available. You can always contact me if you want to find out about my book writing courses, but I highly recommend that you get some teaching and you get some training. And one of the most important things that you talked about was that you spent a lot of time organizing before you wrote the book. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes you can organize and never write the book because you're always organizing. So there comes a point when you just have to write the book. But if you can organize ahead of time, if you can know who your audience is and like you said, the problem that they solve, if you can map a lot of these things out ahead of time, writing the book does become easier. So Geoff, we've got about a moment or two left. Do you have any final words of wisdom, and how can people connect with you?
Look, my final words and wisdom is, if you're writing a book, write it, publish it. Don't hold back. You have value that's useful to people. Follow the process and get it out there, and don't wait for it to be perfect. I know you've spoken about that as well. That that can be I think that can be an excuse not to do it. When I released my first book, I gave it out to people, and I think at the launch I said, "Now I've left a few typos in these, and I want you to find them for me," because I figured there's bound to be. We'd gone through it several times, but I thought, well, there's bound to be. So 5 people came back to me with 8 typos, and they were all 8 different ones. And I found another 8 on my own. So they got fixed up in the second draft, and it was fine. And people didn't have a problem with, there being a typo here or there. It's like, well, yeah, that's fine. And you get it, you just update it for the second draft. So I just use that as so
easy. You just upload the file back to Amazon, it updates it, you're done. Like, it's Absolutely. Not complicated.
Yeah, no, it's just updating a Word document or a PDF document. It's not that difficult. So yeah, don't wait for it to be perfect. Just prolific is better than perfect. Get it out there, and then and as I explained, chances are someone's not going to read it, but you'll get work from it. So
yep,
just get it published. True. I remember there was just on a side note. I remember there was a great best-selling book. It was available in a lot of women's clothes shops, and it was a small book, and it said everything men know about women. And you'd open it up, like 200 blank pages, and it was selling for $5. And it was a bestseller, and it was just a cover with blank notes in it, and it was a brilliant concept. So yeah, having a book, it doesn't necessarily have to have a lot of content in it, but yeah, get it out there. Just follow through the process. Don't wait till it's perfect. As far as getting in touch with me, I'd love to hear from you. I'm on LinkedIn, Geoff Anderson. Geoff Anderson 1, I think it is, on LinkedIn. And my books are available at geoffanderson.com.au/books. So you can get both of those books there. So but reach out to me on LinkedIn or grab a copy of the book. I'd love to send it to you.
And that's Geoff.
That's correct. Thank you, Kim.
Because here people would probably assume it's Jeff.
Yes, because you can't spell correctly, isn't it? Oh.
Oh. We won't go into the Canadian versus the UK versus the Australian versus the US English here.
No, let's not.
Well, thanks so much. This has been Geoff Anderson and Kim Thompson-Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. And just before we go, I just want to remind the listeners that on Wednesday, July 29th, if you've enjoyed today's teaching and the teaching that you receive on the Author to Authority podcast, I invite you to come join me on Wednesday, July 29th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's Canada, United States, Central. And come for a day. I've got 6 wonderful experts coming in that are going to teach you how to take your business forward in all of the key areas that matter in communication and networking and media and marketing and social media. So it's going to be a full packed day of training and networking and making amazing connections that not only become clients, but they also become your referral partners. So if you'd like to find out more about that, go to www.onlinenetworklearn.com. So thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the very next episode. Bye now.
Bye, Kim.